between sadness and depression. Sad people are grief-stricken about something out in the world, but they aren't necessarily sad about themselves. Their self-esteem is unaffected by their grief, whereas depressed people will characteristically feel wretched about themselves and be full of self-recrimination, guilt, shame, and self-loathing paranoia that may at tragic extremes culminate in suicidal thoughts. For psychotherapy, the origins of these violent moods of self-hatred lie in anger due for, but unable to be directed towards, someone else in the world, that has then turned against the sufferer. Wrathful feelings that should have gone outwards towards a partner who's relentlessly defensive or denies one sex, or a parent who humiliated one in childhood. These feelings are instead driven back onto the sufferer and starts to attack them. The feeling, X has horribly let me down, turns into a very unpleasant but in some ways more bearable, I'm an unworthy and unbearable wretch. One becomes self-hating as a defense against the risks of hating someone else. Also worth noting in all this is that in many cases depression is associated with an apparently opposite mood, a kind of euphoric state termed mania, hence the term manic depressive. The mania in question looks from a distance a bit like happiness, just like depression can look like sadness. But in one area in particular, the relationship between mania and happiness is identical to that between depression and sadness. The common element is a disavowed self-knowledge. In mania, one is euphoric, but cannot go into one's own deep mind and discover its bitter truths, which explains one of the leading characteristics of manic people, their habit of being in flight from themselves, talking too much about nothing, over-exercising, drinking, working continuously, or spending too much, all as an escape from a submerged grief, rage, or loss. It is from this kind of diagnosis that a suggested cure emerges. What people in depression need above all is a chance to arrive at insight,